So, short turnarounds. You were pretty scathing of the pitch conditions on the weekends. Have all the boys pulled up okay, or do you have a couple of sore bodies that will rule them out for tomorrow?
No, at the moment, everyone is okay. We'll see how we go after today's training, but everyone pulled up okay.
Do you anticipate making any changes just based on a loading capacity, or are you still not decided what your 11 will be?
I haven't decided yet. Obviously, we've got a busy week, so we've got to concentrate on tomorrow's game first. But I just need to see, what I think, is the best way to approach it and the players available.
What is your thinking process behind these short turns around Picos? What are the factors you're taking into account? What are you thinking?
There's a few things, obviously number one is injury. But for me, I don't really take account in loading, to be perfectly honest with you. If the players do well, they play again. If they're tired, you replace them. It's very simple. But I'm one of those ones that, okay, if you're playing 3 games a week for the whole season, it's a different story. Loading for me isn't really an issue in terms of when I look at picking players.
And coming up against Sydney FC, they're coming off a good derby win. What have you thought of? What have you made of them in recent times?
Yeah, we know they're a good team, but like I've always said, we need to worry about us and how we approach the game.
In terms of your performance, now that you've had a few days to absorb it, what did you make of? Well, it was a 6-pack win against the Knicks, so it went pretty well. But what were your reflections from it?
Yeah, I wasn't really happy with the first half. I thought we weren't that great, but credit to the players. The reaction that they showed after halftime was really good. So we had to address a few things from the first half, and to improve and to get better, and that's what we've done.
I guess last one from me before I hand over to Ed or Marco. But how was the plate of pasta at Ioannis that you were talking about after the game?
Yeah, fantastic. Homemade, beautiful.
PK, obviously you've got this game, you've got a Melbourne derby, and then you go on the first Champions League experience for the club. It's a really big sort of week and a half, isn't it, for you guys?
Yeah, it's been a big season, but I can't worry about things that I can't control, and and I've said it for so long now. I can only worry about one thing at a time, and I've got to worry about training. Then tomorrow we worry about the game. I know when you look at it on paper, okay, it's a big week, yes, but for us, we have to go. We've got no other choice, but we go day by day, literally go day by day.
How much is sort of, I guess, the experiences throughout the season? It's been one of those seasons where there has been periods with real heavy fixture loads. How have you sort of drawn on that going into this sort of month?
Yeah, look, it's been an adaptation. I think, and maybe not just myself, but I'm sure that all the coaches and teams, have found it difficult at some stage, of the season. Whether it's the start now, there's a lot of teams, that play a lot of games in a short turn, but that's the way it is. Like we can't change it. The only thing I can think of is, maybe introduce, that each team allowed to, get more players, bring more players in. I don't know, because we have small squads. It's very hard, but personally we've done our best. We've tried, and we keep trying to work and trying to push and adapt to whatever comes in front of us.
You talk about that sort of next game focus. Has that been? Have you had to sort of worry about that in terms of the fact that there is the Champions League coming up? Or you boys are very focused on the now.
We're focused on the now, and that's what we've done pretty much since the start of the season, because things have changed so many times that you're unable to, focus or plan for anything else. So, we just focus. We just focus on the now, and again, we take it day by day, game by game.
Perfect. I'll hand over to Marco.
Yeah, mate. I'm just you were just talking about maybe looking at the league somehow letting clubs bring in more like players or whatever. Would you are you sort of calling or sort of not calling, but would you like to see bigger squads, or maybe more like loans between clubs during the sort of season?
I don't make the rules, No, what I'm saying is, due to, current, circumstances in, the whole world is, we have a pandemic. I know life is going on as normal, but it's maybe in the A League it's a bit different to a lot of the rest of the countries in the world. I think at one stage we played more games than Manchester City with half a squad. Yeah, and they're playing a lot of games. So what I'm saying is maybe a thought is maybe introducing that. I don't know. I don't know what the best answer is, but we're going to be faced with COVID for a long time now. I can't see it going away. So what's the best way to help, the competition and the clubs if they have to play catch-up games, if there are people in the Champions League. There's got to be maybe something, again, we talk about international duties. you can't play during the season. There's so many factors that come into it. I'm just trying to think of ways that to help, everyone, especially in times where you don't know when people are going to get COVID. You don't know how many are going to get affected. It's just the unknown. But how can we maybe help that out? I don't know, but it's just a thought.
Do you think that the standard of the competition has suffered this season because of that?
What do you mean by that? With players being out?
Players being out, the breaks, the squad sizes aren't like big enough. All the games being bunched together.
Look, I think it's on a bigger scale. To be perfectly honest with you, we work within a salary cap. So it's very hard to have bigger squads when you have a salary cap. That's another thing that maybe you might have to look at. It's just that unfortunately, again, this season has been interrupted due to a lot of things, and hopefully next year that changes.
Stevie Corica was saying the other day that he thinks this is the toughest A-League season ever because of all that stuff. Would you agree?
I think it's up there, I can only talk on our personal experience. We've played nearly 2 to 3 games a week for 3 months, and we're probably not the only club. We go away on Saturday, we play our first game after 4 days. We play 6 games in 15 days. We've got to come back, finish the remainder of the season, and then sort of head into finals. The amount of catch-up games that teams have had to play in a short space of time due to it's been a World Cup year as well. It's been difficult, and maybe not every club has felt like that. But if obviously Steve Corica has, I'm sure Melbourne Victory have, we have. In certain aspects, it's hard, and how do you change it? How if, what happens if 7 players get done with COVID? What happens then? Do you cancel the game? Do you have to replay it? How do you reschedule it? Where does it fit in? It's difficult, but it is what it is. We can't control it. We just do our best and try to adapt the best way possible.
One thing we've seen from other sporting competitions in Australia is they've allowed top-up players from lower leagues to be temporarily signed to players. Do you think the quality of top-level NPL players is sufficient that they could serve as one-off fill-in players at the moment, or is that not a viable option with the gap between the A-Leagues and the NPL?
I think there is a difference between the player. You talk about NPL, and it's no disrespect to them, but they work, so they haven't been in an environment like ours, or in terms of the A League, so it's a hard transition. But what I'm saying is, if you make that rule at the start of the year where you may be allowed to extend the squad, if you do choose to get players from your local competition, at least they have, at least 8 months of training instead of a couple of weeks. It helps the adaptation for the player and the environment for the player. And again, it's hard because financially, the NPL players, they earn good money plus a job. So there's so many factors that go into it. All I'm saying is, COVID ain't going anywhere. How do we stop this from happening again? I don't know. That's a question that you need to ask the powers that be. But maybe we need to, as a competition, need to have a look at it, because on a salary cap, it's very difficult to bring, as you know, a lot of players in. You got to work within a certain budget. Maybe extend the money on the salary cap. So maybe it's, instead of one figure, it's a bit more to be able to do that. I don't know.